Here's something you should know before we start. 43% of American adults believe keeping financial secrets from your partner is at least as bad as physically cheating on them. 5% believe it's actually worse, and almost half of all Americans in committed relationships, 45%, admit they don't know everything about their partner's finances. Read that again. Half of married people in this country are sleeping next to a stranger, a financial stranger, someone whose bank accounts, debts, and spending habits they cannot fully account for. And the wildest part? It's not the people who fight about money who get divorced. It's the people who never have the right conversation about it. The ones who think they're doing it right. The ones who split the bills neatly down the middle and never talk about anything else. I'm Mr. Fall. Bandage. I patch up financial wounds for a living, and the worst ones I see, the ones that bleed out the slowest and hurt the most, are the ones that happen between two people who used to love each other. If you're in a relationship right now, or you're heading toward one, or you're cleaning up the financial wreckage of one that ended, this video is for you. And if it makes you uncomfortable in the next 25 minutes, that's the point. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Quick note before we dig in. This is education, not financial or relationship advice. Do your own homework before any big money or marriage moves. Today, we're going to do two things. We're going to identify the money conversation that almost every couple is having wrong, the one they think is helping, the one that's quietly building resentment. And then we're going to walk through the conversation they should be having instead, the one that takes about an hour, the one that statistically saves marriages. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to ask, when to ask it, and what answers should make you nervous. Let's start with the conventional wisdom, because the conventional wisdom is exactly what's killing American marriages. The advice you've heard your entire life goes something like this. Sit down once a month, look at the bills, split them fairly, maybe make a budget together. Talk about big purchases before you make them. That's it. That's the whole playbook most people are working from. And on the surface, it sounds reasonable. It sounds responsible. It sounds like exactly what a healthy adult couple should do. Here's the part that should break your brain. Couples who do all of that are still getting divorced over money at historic rates. Money fights are the second leading cause of divorce in the United States, behind only physical infidelity. 41% of couples who carry consumer debt say money is what they argue about most. Couples with $50,000 or more in debt are 3 times more likely than low-debt couples to describe their money conversations as negative. And here's the kicker. 2/3 of all marriages in America start out in debt, which means the majority of couples are walking into the most important financial partnership of their lives already underwater, already stressed, already primed to fight, and they think a monthly bill-splitting meeting is going to fix it. It's not, and I'll tell you why. The bill-splitting conversation is a logistics conversation. It's the equivalent of 2 roommates figuring out who's paying for toilet paper. It doesn't touch any of the things that actually matter. It doesn't touch what you believe about money. It doesn't touch what you're afraid of. It doesn't touch what you're hiding. And here's where the math gets brutal. According to a recent Bankrate survey, 42% of American adults who are married or living with a partner have kept a financial secret from that person. 42%. That's almost half. Among Gen Z, the number jumps to 63%. Among millennials, 54%. The youngest generations entering committed relationships right now are the ones lying the most about money. They call this financial infidelity. And here's the trap nobody sees coming. 43% of Americans believe financial infidelity is at least as bad as physical cheating. And the people who get cheated on financially say it ends marriages just as often. Let me make this concrete with a personification, because numbers are easier to dismiss than people. Meet Sarah and Mike. Sarah is 34. Mike is 36. They've been married for 7 years. They have a combined household income of $140,000. They live in a suburb outside Atlanta. They have a 4-year-old daughter. They have a mortgage of $2,100 per month. They have one car payment of $480. They have two retirement accounts. They have a joint checking account for shared bills. Once a month, Sarah and Mike sit down at the kitchen table on a Sunday afternoon. They open their banking app. They look at the bills. They make sure rent is covered. They allocate money for groceries. They talk briefly about whether they can afford a vacation this year. The conversation lasts about 30 minutes. They high-five. They feel like responsible adults. Here's what's happening at the same time. Mike has a credit card Sarah doesn't know about. He opened it 3 years ago to buy a watch he didn't want to explain. The balance is now $8,400. He pays the minimum from a separate checking account. He funnels $200 into every paycheck. Sarah has been quietly transferring money to her sister, who is in a bad relationship and needs help with rent. The total over the last 14 months is $6,200. Mike doesn't know. Sarah feels guilty about not telling him, but she's also resentful because she suspects he wouldn't approve and she shouldn't need permission to help her own sister. Neither of them is having an affair. Neither of them is doing anything they consider evil. They love each other. They're both committing financial infidelity. And the monthly bill-splitting meeting they have, the one that makes them feel responsible, is actively preventing them from ever discovering it. This is the trap. The conversation about logistics gives couples the illusion of communication. It feels like progress. It feels like adulting. But it never goes deeper than the surface. And the things that destroy marriages, the hidden debts, the secret accounts, the resentments, the fears, the values mismatches, those things live underneath the logistics. They never get touched. Now here's what changes everything. There is one conversation, one specific structured conversation, that statistically protects marriages from financial collapse. And almost no couple in America is having it. Let me walk you through it. You might be thinking, oh, I know where this is going. You're going to tell me to be more honest, to communicate more, to set shared goals. Here's why that's not the full picture. Generic advice like communicate better is useless because it doesn't tell you what to communicate about. The conversation that saves marriages isn't longer or more frequent. It's structurally different. It asks different questions. It surfaces different information. And the people who have it once, just once, the right way, change the trajectory of their entire financial lives together. The conversation has 4 parts. I'm going to walk you through all 4, and I want you to actually do this with your partner, not someday, not when things calm down. This week, schedule it. Treat it like a doctor's appointment, because in a real way, it is one. Part 1 is the money story. Each person tells their partner, in detail, what money was like growing up. Was there enough? Was it talked about? Was it fought about? Did your parents agree about money? Did one of them control it? Were you ever embarrassed about money as a kid? Did you ever overhear arguments about bills? What did money mean in your house? Safety, freedom, power, shame? This sounds soft. It sounds like therapy. It is. And here's why it matters. Almost every fight you will ever have with your partner about money is not actually about money. It's about what money meant in your childhood. The person who grew up watching their parents nearly lose the house is going to feel terror, not annoyance, when their partner spends $300 on something unnecessary. The person who grew up with money treated as a tool for control is going to bristle hard the moment their partner asks, "Why did you buy that?" These reactions are old. They don't belong to the marriage, but they show up in the marriage every single time. If you don't surface those stories early, you spend the next 20 years fighting battles that have nothing to do with the actual person sitting across from you. You're fighting your dad, or your mom, or the version of yourself who watched the lights get shut off in 4th grade, and your partner has no idea what they just stepped on. Part 2 is the values inventory. This is where you ask the harder question. What is money for? Not in some abstract philosophical way. Specifically, if you had an extra $10,000 right now with no consequences, no judgment, what would you do with it? Pay down debt? Take a trip? Save it? Give it away? Buy something specific? Here's the part that should break your brain. Most couples have never asked each other this question. They assume they know the answer. They are almost always wrong. One person sees money primarily as security, the other sees it primarily as freedom. One sees it as a tool to enjoy life now, the other sees it as a tool to build a future. Neither answer is wrong. But if you don't know which answer your partner gives, you will fundamentally misunderstand every spending decision they make for the rest of your relationship. You'll think they're irresponsible. They'll think you're a miser. You'll think they don't care about the future. They'll think you don't care about today. And you'll both be wrong about each other, forever, unless you ask. Part 3. This is the hard one. This is the one most couples skip even when they know they shouldn't. Full financial disclosure. Every account, every debt, every income source, every recurring subscription, every loan you co-signed, every credit card, every retirement account, every loan you made to a family member, every secret stash, everything. You sit down with a piece of paper or a spreadsheet. You list it all, both of you, at the same time, and you commit, out loud, to not reacting. Not yet. The point of this part of the conversation is not to judge. The point is to put everything on the table so that for the first time in your relationship, both of you can see the actual landscape you're operating on. This is where it gets twisted. 45% of Americans in committed relationships admit they don't know everything about their partner's finances. Almost 1 in 10, 9%, are actively hiding major sources of debt, expenses, or income from their partner right now. Today, while you're watching this video, 9 out of every 100 people in a committed relationship in America are sitting on a financial bomb their partner doesn't know exists. The most common secrets, in order, are spending more than the partner would approve of, racking up hidden debt, having secret savings accounts, having secret credit cards, and having secret checking accounts. Here's a sarcastic aside, which is adorable if you think any of these things stay secret forever. They don't. Secret debts get discovered when collectors call. Secret accounts get discovered when tax forms arrive. Secret spending gets discovered when the credit score takes an inexplicable nosedive. Secret credit cards get discovered when the joint mortgage application gets denied. The question isn't whether the secret comes out. The question is whether you tell your partner before life forces the conversation. And here's where the math gets brutal again. Couples who do this disclosure together, voluntarily, before a crisis forces it, report dramatically higher relationship satisfaction within 12 months. Couples who only confront these issues after a crisis, after the collector calls, after the credit gets pulled, after the secret savings account shows up in a divorce settlement, those couples have a much harder time recovering. The trust damage from being lied to, even about something small, even when the intent was to avoid a fight, is profound, and the longer the secret existed, the deeper the damage. The fourth and final part of the conversation is alignment. Now that you've shared your stories, your values, and your full financial picture, you ask the question almost no couple has ever answered together. What are we building? Not in a vague way, specifically. What does life look like for us in 5 years, 10 years, at retirement? Where do we live? What kind of work are we doing? Do we have more kids, fewer kids, the same kids? Are we saving aggressively for early retirement, or are we prioritizing experiences now? What does financial success mean for us as a unit? Here's the trap nobody sees coming. Most couples have never had this conversation either. They assume they're working toward the same thing. They are almost always working toward different things, in silence, year after year, getting more and more frustrated that their partner doesn't get it. Don't skip this part. Sit down. Talk about the actual life you're trying to build. Write it down if you have to. Because if you don't agree on the destination, every financial decision you make becomes a fight about direction, not about money. Now I want to address a question I get all the time. People say, well, what about separate accounts? Should we combine everything? Should we keep things separate? Should we do the yours, mine, ours system? Here's the honest answer. The structure matters less than the transparency. There are happy, healthy couples with completely combined finances. There are happy, healthy couples with completely separate finances. There are happy, healthy couples with hybrid systems. What there are not, in any meaningful number, are happy, healthy couples where one person doesn't know what the other person is doing financially. Whatever structure you pick, the rule is simple. Both of you can see everything. Both of you understand the full picture. There are no surprises. The structure is just plumbing. The transparency is the whole game. Let me give you a second personification, because I want this to land. Meet Carlos and Jenna, both 41, married 12 years, combined income $190,000. They have completely separate bank accounts. They have a shared credit card for groceries and household stuff. They each pay agreed-upon shares of the mortgage and bills from their separate accounts. By the surface metrics of conventional advice, this is a messy setup. Here's what they do that most couples don't. Once a quarter, they sit down with their laptops open. They pull up every single account, every single debt, every single retirement balance. They show each other the numbers. They talk about anything that surprised them. They check in on the long-term plan. The whole thing takes about 90 minutes. They have a glass of wine. Then they're done for 3 months. Carlos and Jenna have been together 12 years. They've never had a money fight that lasted more than an afternoon, not because they're lucky, because they've done the conversation. They know each other's money story. They know each other's values. They have full financial transparency. And they're aligned on what they're building. Compare that to Sarah and Mike from earlier with their cute 30-minute monthly bill meeting. Sarah and Mike are statistically heading for a fight that's going to last years. The $8,000 credit card is going to surface at the worst possible moment. The $6,000 to the sister is going to come out during a heated argument about something completely unrelated. And both of them are going to feel betrayed because they were both lying and they both knew, on some level, that they were lying. Here's the part that should break your brain. The information needed to prevent that disaster is the same information they could have surfaced in one 90-minute conversation. One conversation. That's the difference between a marriage that lasts and a marriage that fractures over money. Now, you might be thinking, what if I'm scared to bring this up with my partner? What if I think they're hiding something? What if I'm hiding something? Here's why that fear is the most important signal you have right now. The fear is information. If you're scared to ask your partner for full financial disclosure, that fear is telling you something about the trust level in your relationship. It might be telling you something about your own behavior. It might be telling you something about theirs. Either way, the answer is not to keep avoiding the conversation. The answer is to have it, gently, without an interrogation tone, with the framing that you want to be a real team, and you can't do that if either of you is operating in the dark. A good way to start is to put yourself first. Hey, I've been thinking about us and money. I want to be more open with you about everything I have going on. Can we plan a Saturday afternoon to sit down and just walk each other through everything? I want to start. That framing is disarming. It signals that you're not coming in to attack. You're coming in to be vulnerable first. Most partners, even ones with secrets, will meet that energy. And if they refuse, if they get defensive, if they shut you down, that, my friend, is the conversation. That refusal is the diagnostic. That refusal is telling you something you needed to know. Here's where it gets twisted. Some couples discover, when they finally have this conversation, that things are worse than they thought. Hidden debt is real. The savings account they thought existed is empty. The retirement contributions they thought were happening weren't. This is the moment that breaks some marriages. But here's the thing. Those marriages were already broken. The conversation didn't break them. The lies broke them. The conversation just gave them a name. Other couples discover the opposite. They discover their partner has been quietly more responsible than they realized. They've been saving on the side. They've been worried about the same things. They've been afraid to bring it up too. And the conversation becomes the moment they actually become a team for the first time in years. You don't know which version you're in until you have the conversation. And the conversation gets harder, not easier, the longer you wait. Let me say something that might land hard. If you've been avoiding this conversation for years, you are not lazy. You are not bad at communicating. You are not a coward. The conversation is genuinely hard. It involves vulnerability about something our entire culture has trained us to keep private. 62% of Americans say money is the most uncomfortable topic to discuss, more uncomfortable than politics, religion, weight, or mental health. You're not avoiding it because you're broken. You're avoiding it because the entire social architecture you grew up in told you to avoid it. But here's the thing. The architecture is wrong. Money is not just numbers. Money is values. Money is fear. Money is power. Money is the daily expression of what you actually believe matters. And in a marriage, two people who don't talk honestly about money are two people who don't actually know each other. They know a curated version. They know the version that gets presented at dinner parties. They don't know the version that opens secret credit cards or transfers money to siblings or worries at 3 in the morning about whether the mortgage will get paid next month. You deserve to be known fully by the person you're sharing your life with, and they deserve to be known fully by you. The conversation is the door. You are not a failure for not having had this conversation yet. The system you grew up in actively trained you to avoid it. The financial industry profits from your silence. The culture of "don't talk about money" benefits everyone except the people in the relationship. Here's what you can actually do about it. Pick a day this month. Tell your partner you want to do something together that's important to you. Block out 2 hours. Turn off your phones. Walk through the 4 parts: money story, values inventory, full disclosure, alignment. Don't try to fix anything in the conversation. Just surface it. Then, a week later, come back and start making decisions together based on what you actually know about each other for the first time. The truth is, most marriages don't end because of money. They end because of the silence around money. The silence creates the secrets. The secrets create the resentment. The resentment creates the distance. And by the time anyone says the word divorce, the conversation that could have prevented all of it is years too late. If this video helped you see things differently, drop a like. It actually matters more than you'd think. And if you want more straight talk about your money, hit subscribe. Mr. Bandage drops a new video every single day. I'll see you tomorrow with another one. Money hurts. I help.